Hello, my name is Jason Miller. I'm a ServiceNow consultant and enthusiast. Been using the tool for about 4 years now. Today, what I would like to do is go over a community post here and respond to it. This is one from Daryl Mitchell. He says he's looking to measure SLAs and he's trying to get the month of close date on the x-axis, and then in the bar value, the total closed over the total SLA times 100. So I guess he was looking for the percentage here. So I'd like to address that. And before I do that, I'd like to note my site, which is Alex Now Solutions. This is the link right here for it. I will also post it in response to Daryl's post, and also create a post for this video on the ServiceNow community. Mostly the channel focuses on SLAs and how to report on them, and a couple other things with aggregation of records and how to do basic reporting. So today, Daryl, I'd like to just talk about a couple of different reports, one that I created specifically for you, and then also a couple other ones that I've used in the past for SLAs, and hopefully they'll help you. And not to worry, I'll get to yours as one of the first two, I believe, that I created in response to this post. So without further ado, this is my personal instance right here, and I've created 4 reports, one of which, this one probably is the closest to what Daryl was looking for. First one I have here is the single score, which is basically a very high level readout of something like average time to resolution for an SLA, something that a CIO would want to know, something at that level, very high up in the organization. The second one that I created was SLAs by month, which is your typical bar chart here. Basically what I did was I grouped by the has breached, either true or false. So right here you'll see that we have here about 28 false, and then 1 true, so 1 breached it looks like. And then down here we have our aggregates, and then the percentages here for the numbers. For some reason, I did some research on it, and there wasn't the ability to actually have the percentages display. So if anyone knows how to do that, yeah, I appreciate you chiming in. I saw that there was a post, I want to say it was about a year ago, and Chuck Tomasi from ServiceNow had responded to it and just asked the question of, where do you want the, like what if you had 6 of these, are all 6 of the values supposed to add up to 100%? So I'll get to the nuts and bolts of how I created each of these reports in just a second. The next one that I created was SLAs by month with a line chart. This one's actually SLAs by date. I incorrectly named that, but since we're on that topic, we can go ahead and change the name of it if we want to. So let's see here. I think what I'm going to do is just center it for right now, the title, and then I'll get into renaming it in just a second. One thing also I created was the average time metric here, and this basically lines up your SLAs at the bottom here, and it'll give you the average time for the metric. One thing to note is I believe that the mean value, which is what I'm focused on right here by highlighting over this blue dot, I believe that's in seconds. So one of the easiest ways to read this is to kind of go over here, and they have these denoted average times. If you highlight on the red, then it'll give you the maximum, upper quartile, median, lower quartile, minimum, and you'll see they're all the same pretty much because I only have, I did created and closed the records all in the same time slot, so I believe that's why it's not more spread out. So now we can go ahead and just take a look at the reports here. I've published 3 of them, and then I'll make sure I publish this SLAs by month line chart, which I believe is this one here. And I believe I said I wanted to change it to SLAs by day. So let's change it to SLAs by day. And then also the type, I think I made a mistake here. I did an area chart. So I'm going to change that back to just a line. And one thing you want to do is when you're creating these charts or making edits to them is you want to run them first. The reason why is it'll change it here, but it won't necessarily save it. Now if I go up here to save, it will save over the old data. And let's go back to my main screen here, and let's go ahead and refresh it. See if it changes the name for us. Oh, it did not. Wow, okay. So I'll have to write a letter to someone on this and see what's going on with that. I might have did an insert and stay, maybe that's why. Okay, so the SLAs by day, how did I configure it? I selected the line chart, then the configuration. I grouped by has breached, and I believe over here I noted the data. So the source type here is a table. If you're going to do a data source, the only difference between that and the table is that it's already pre-filtered. So if you wanted to create all these components here, this filter as a data source, you could do that. And I believe that you would just select Save as Data Source right here, and it would just create that new report source for you. So I'll go ahead and X out of that. You guys can do that at your own leisure. And the table that I used was Task SLA. So I always use Task SLA when I'm going after SLA data, and then if I need to, I can dot walk over to the task data. So then I did additional group by, and the reason this helps me out is that if I want to look at things like, what was the priority of the aggregate number, that'll show me things like, okay, well, what happened on this day when we had all these, I don't know, a spike in number 5s. Not that that would mean anything to us. You'd probably be looking for more like number 1 critical. And then over here, we'll see the percentages. Now, just keep in mind that these are percentages of the priority, not the SLA success or the has breached as we had before. So I displayed the data table, which breaks down all this information down here, which I just noted. If I were to take that away and click run, it would remove that data table. So all we would have is this data right here. So I'll go ahead and put that back. I'll hit run. And my aggregation was per day. And I aggregated a count. I guess I could do average or sum, count distinct. Those are all other options too. And then the SLAs by month, pretty much same thing, except if we go over here, difference is that I used the column chart, and then the configuration was the, let's see here, per month. I trended by stop time. You could do breach time created. I think I filtered on, if it was created this month or last month. We can take a look at these filters here. This month or last month, and then if it's closed, so basically active equals false is the way I did that. And that would be active equals false for, let's take a look here, for the actual SLA record running. So you want to make sure you note that distinction, that there's a difference between the SLA running and the actual task record being active. Okay, so this has a breakdown of the numbers here and the percentages, so that'll show that down here. My apologies for not being able to get this to appear up here. I mean, if you highlight over it, it'll show it, but I guess you wanted a printed version, Daryl, so I'll keep working to see if I can come up with a solution on that. So then we have our SLAs by day line charts, and you know what, I think that we want to publish it, and one thing you'll note right here is when I publish it, it'll be like this little link that pops up right here, so copy the report link. So if I wanted to, I could copy that to the clipboard, and then, I don't know, maybe cut and paste that somewhere in another browser window right there. Great. Okay, so then this is the single score that I created. This will just give us that single data point that the CIO or whoever high up in the organization requests it, wants that one time. Every day they look at it and just say, okay, so our average is usually 6 days, 8 hours, and this would be the average of the business elapsed time. And one thing I like to note is that there's a difference between the business elapsed time, and if you look here, if I change to actual elapsed time, I bet you it goes up. Let's hit run. Or not. Okay, so maybe I had everything running on a 24/7 schedule, and it just depends with on what SLA definition that I chose. So if I did my Apple iPad ones, let's click run there. So you'll see here it changes. That's the actual, and then if I want to do the business, I would hit run. And see that there was a difference there. So chances are there's a difference in the schedules, meaning that If I did 24/7, the actual and the business would be the same. But if they're like 8x5 or something like that, there will be a distinction that will be changed. Okay, so then also one thing I wanted to note was that you can share these things with people in your organization. Go into your groups and use, like, let's say I want to share with Fred Luddy. Let's see if Fred comes up here. Maybe I have to search for him. You know what? I'm on groups. Did not have my coffee this morning just yet. Okay, so Jason Miller is there. Let's see. Yep, found Fred Luddy. Great. Click OK. And then if I wanted to, I could add to the dashboard and then have it there. So go ahead and X out of that. And then here's our delete option if we ever want to get rid of it. And then what I'll do now is I'll just move over to the next one, which is the average time. This one's good in that it'll show you average time for a specific set of SLA definitions if you want to filter it that way. So what I did was I just said, if they start with unusual, and again, if I change it to Apple, and we click run, probably our values will change a little bit. So yeah, here. And again, I probably opened and closed everything. What you'll see is a box appear around here, and that's where your your quartile, upper quartile, lower quartiles, things like that. Those will change, and I'm not sure if that has any relevance to your organization, but I definitely wanted to note that. Okay, so let's see here. Our source type was still a table, and the table that we use is task SLA. And to get to that, you would scroll down here, and I believe, yes, right here is Trendbox is the one that you would use. And then if I wanted to go ahead and go over the configuration, and yeah, this is straight out of Knowledge. I believe it was at Knowledge 15 or 16 they had this session. They did a trend by I've created, and it's per date. The aggregation they used is average, and then I used actual lapse time. If I want to use business, let's see if it changes things. That looks like it changed it a little bit, right? So business will include all that or exclude all that after hours activity, etc. So there it is. And then just going back to Daryl's solution, Daryl, if you want a copy of it or something like that, just let me know, and I'll be more than happy to either share this in my instance, give you a login or something like that, so that way you can take a look at it a little bit more in depth. And yeah, I'll be developing some more content around SLAs and how you can do quick reports using the task SLA table. All right, have a great day.